Jackie Getch coming to you live from West Bend, Wisconsin. And with me to my right is Dean Sinclair, Assistant Manager of Riverbend Cablevision, and Mark Lonvatter, local businessman, who's going to help me out here today with some of the names and the faces. And it's a very important, auspicious occasion, and that, of course, is the day that President Ronald Reagan will be coming to West Bend. Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you.
Let's get a little bit of your insight into this auspicious occasion.
Well, the occasion is certainly auspicious, as well as a major event in day-to-day activities around West Bend, obviously. And West Bend, in its community spirit, has pulled together one of the finest shows I think our president can ever expect from a community this size. The involvement here has been probably 2 weeks long. The catalyst, I think, behind it is the nature of the people of our community pulling together. We've got a fine bunch of people in West Bend who we're all very proud of, and working around a bit of a hub at the Chamber of Commerce office, which is over the past 2 weeks gone from its regular business of encouraging community business and economic development in the area to a command center for today's activities. Lining the streets all the way from the south end of town, right down here downtown, where our president will soon be enjoying our local cuisine at the Washington House behind us. The activities have been so diverse we can talk all day about that.
Well, things are really humming around here. We see grandparents, we see children, people of all ages. Everyone's come out today in their red, white, and blue. And I understand, Dean and Mark, that even local businesses have actually shut down for this occasion. You know anything about that, Dean?
Well, at least 2 hours from that key time of 11 to 1 o'clock, most of your businesses will be taking that time off to help celebrate lunch with the president. It's not your typical Monday by any means.
No,
there's so much
isn't.
energy in the air. Where sometimes maybe coming off of that weekend there's just a little bit down note. It's just the opposite right here.
Exactly. Everybody's up. I hear patriotic music, as I'm sure you do in the background. We're going to be entertained today by some bands and a choral group. A little mini parade, I believe, is going to be starting before the motorcade actually makes its way into West Bend. So lots of excitement. And I'm sure that you'll see some very familiar faces too as you watch our hopefully next hour or so of live action coming to you live from West Bend. And of course the president will be here to talk about his economic Bill of Rights. Is that right, Mark?
Of course, yes, and what better sight than in a flourishing, growing, economically healthy community surrounding West Bend proper, and all the communities in the area, Hartford, Port Washington, and so on, all enjoying the fruits of the national economic revival and upturn from recent years, probably enjoying beyond the capacity of other communities in our country. West Bend, of course, one of the few communities that has always successfully hammered its way through economic troubles, and an excellent showcase for the president as a result. The people here have always responded at times of emergency or even minor economic problems by pulling together. And obviously what we see here on the streets in West Bend, and we'll see, I'm sure, in your videotape coverage from other communities in our area, is just that community spirit, which is so unusual, I think. A lot of communities this size, it's difficult to say hello to most people you meet on the street on a weekday morning. That's not true here in West Bend.
It's progressive and it's growing, but it hasn't lost that hometown flavor, which I think is so important, and of course typifies the things that President Reagan feels is so important.
Certainly, I think the city wasn't chosen by any stretch of the imagination as a name out of the hat. I think we were chosen specifically for the president's visit, as was Hartford and Port Washington, just because of the nature of the community being what it is.
And let's talk a little bit about what people in the town have done to get ready. You see us wearing some Ronald Reagan buttons, of course. Welcome to the president. You see signs and banners up all around you. And if you can grab that lunchbox there, Mark.
Sure.
All right, we have a Ronald Reagan lunchbox here. A lot of people today are having lunch with the president, so to speak.
Right.
And these are available around the community. Pack your lunch, come on out, enjoy a day of parade and music, and hopefully get a glimpse of the president and eat your lunch while you're at it. So I think that's pretty exciting.
Unfortunately, the Washington House's seating doesn't permit the tens of thousands of people present here today. We haven't heard, and I don't know if we will ever hear during the terms of our broadcast, what the crowd size is. I'm sure if people turn to the West Bend News or WBKV later on, that we'll have some estimate. I have never seen a turnout of this size in my lifetime in West Bend. I'm a long-term native here, born and raised in the community, and I don't think we've turned people out like this for a 4th of July parade or for other events.
At, Mark or Dean? 12,000 people, 10,000 people?
Oh, it's going to hit that goal because of the surrounding neighborhoods that West Bend has, and I think there's a lot of appreciation surrounding the whole area. You say West Bend so easily with the Jackson.
That could mean Jackson, Kewaskum.
Yes, they're all over here.
Okay, and I think Port Washington was looking at last count about 20,000 people. And of course, those folks have to have tickets to get into the speech, and here everyone is just hoping just to catch a glimpse of them, right?
Exactly, yes. We'll be able to see the president as he drives by. In his specially designed limousine, he'll be visible to us. I'm told he has a public address system that he can greet us by microphone from that vehicle as he passes. Of course, the preparations in the background here will become very visible at that point. We will see the streets cleared. We will see everyone behind police lines. No one's crossing the street at that point. Secret Service, working with local law enforcement, will be protecting the president. Of course, that's an unfortunate side effect of our free society here, which we enjoy and count on so much here in West Bend and around the country, is that we unfortunately have to do an exceptional job of protecting Mr. Reagan.
Well, we have a lot of second-story windows here, you know, Mark, and I do see, if you take a peek up there, you'll see a number of Secret Servicemen that are looking out those windows, and you certainly can't blame them.
Security is even involved, from what I've heard, and I'm not a journalist, so I can't say I've researched it in great detail, has even involved asking people to move out of their apartments for the hours while the president's dining at the Washington House. There's 2 or 3 floors of apartments above that dining room, and those folks can't go home for lunch today because the Secret Service is not quite going to look on that.
Well, every precaution is being taken, and I think as rightfully it should. Along
those lines, I was speaking with Jim, whose last name escapes me, from the White House staff this morning at the chamber office. His comments regarding our local law enforcement, both Washington County Sheriff's Department and especially the West Bend Police Department, Chief Jim Skidmore and his troops have been superlatively cooperative. They have made an impression already with the people from Washington and Secret Service with both their professionalism and their preparedness. I've heard that things were asked of our law enforcement people, and when those requests were made, the law enforcement people here in town could respond. That's already taken care of. To the extent that we're on the ball here.
Once again, that shows you what this town is all about, right? I know in dealing with the Secret Service on Friday, because we did have a meeting with them, they were telling me pretty much the same thing, and also just about the residents here. The business people, your everyday people, as well as the press, and they said they've just had so much cooperation from everybody, and they're very happy to be here. So we're hoping to make the job a little easier, hopefully.
Exactly, sure. And of course, in amongst all of the festivities, I think bottom line, we have to remember that West Bend has an opportunity, not given to every community, to make an impression. And our business and community and political leaders have no doubt pulled out all the stops and are doing their absolute best. I think the street scenes that you're seeing here on the channel live right now are a good indication. There isn't a business on Main Street that I can remember seeing who doesn't have something presidential happening today.
The banners are out, the flags are out, and everybody at this point is real proud to be an American and also to be from West Bend. And I guess no one has an honor probably greater right now than John Green over at Ford's Silver Inn, at part of the Washington House. And we had an interview with John, did an interview with John on Friday, and as well as we did with some other local folks, and I'm sure you'll recognize some familiar faces. So let's talk to these people now and see just what it took to get this thing off the ground, to welcome President Ronald Reagan. Okay, with me today is John Green, and John is the owner and operator of Fort Silver Inn, located in the historic Washington House. John, it's the countdown. It's almost time for the president. How are you feeling today?
Still awfully nervous. Everybody's getting more nervous as days go on, and I don't know, once we get to the big day, everybody will be on pins and needles, and we are right now.
Okay, when did you first find out about the president's arrival?
Last week Friday is when he called me. The Washington D.C. called and said that the president might be having lunch at your restaurant. And at first, of course, I thought it was just a joke, one of my friends playing a big joke on me, until I realized it was for real. And they said not to say anything until they announced it. An official word was Monday of this week when they announced it.
Okay, why do you think they chose your place, the Washington House here?
Well, like I said once before, maybe I'm just lucky. The other reason I understand is the president wanted a historical landmark building, and I believe he also wanted it like in the heart of the downtown of West Bend.
Okay, and all of West Bend is excited and getting ready for the president's arrival. Have you done any major changes or things to the restaurant to prepare for this?
Well, just following around all the agents and everything else is major enough all day long, from 8 o'clock till 7 o'clock at night, answering questions, telling him where this will be at the time when he arrives, and so on and so forth. Other than that, we didn't tear any walls out or anything. We got a lot of new holes in the walls where they're running cables and direct lines for the phone company right to Washington, and so on and so forth.
Any idea what the president's going to be eating for lunch that day?
Well, I know for sure. Right now, it's chicken corn on blue with a fresh fruit plate over a bed of wild rice and let's see, California blend vegetables.
Sounds good. How are you going to keep all the tourists away after this, John?
Let them come.
Sounds good. Well, good luck, and we hope you get to spend some time with the president.
Well, I think I'll be pretty busy in the kitchen.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
This is Betty Pearson, and Betty, you are the Executive Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce for West Bend. What a title.
What a title. Too long.
Let's talk a little bit about the president's visit.
Let's.
When did you find out?
I think probably we heard when I was in Colorado last Friday, a call came in from the mayor saying, did you hear anything about the president coming? And then I found out when I arrived back in town on Saturday after making a few calls.
Okay, did you think it was a bad joke at first, or were you really hopeful that this was the real thing?
Well, there were some rumors going around a couple of weeks ago that might happen, and then we thought perhaps it was a joke, and it is not a joke. It's reality.
It's reality, and it's coming up quickly. What types of things have you done, Betty, to prepare?
We got involved when Senator Stitt's office called and asked if we could quickly get together some things on West Bend, some press releases, etc., for the advance team. And that's how we began. And that happened on Monday morning at 8:30, and it's been a constant roll, night and day since
Now,
then.
Betty, you can't do this all by yourself.
No.
Tell me about some of your
That's
helpers.
exactly what we did. By 10 o'clock on Monday morning, we had every single civic group represented that we know of in the area. We have a list, and we called them, and they sent as many people as they could in. Each
So
sent
everyone is really pulling together.
And we
then.
talked about what we needed. We needed the community spirit. We wanted to know what his themes were. It's economic development and community service groups. And so obviously those are the two things we're going to highlight.
Okay, so
And they all came together and we talked about what we needed, and they went forth. We took their names and we've been calling people from there.
That's excellent.
After that, we got all the chamber members that are restaurant people, the florist shops came together, all the printers, and everybody's been working in tandem and in unison. There's never been one person just doing it for them. They've been doing it for the entire city.
That's great. Now, I've seen buttons, I've seen flags, I've seen lunch boxes with the president's picture on. Does that about sum it up, or have you got something else?
We have T-shirts. We have several gifts that are being given to the president. We have a remarkable motorcade route. This is not a parade. It is a motorcade, and that's what's important to us. We have band stationed throughout. We've been having wonderful help from Dave and Mary Wolf pull this together. We will have lots of elected officials on the route, and we'll have a place for everybody to come and cheer. As you know, our radio station will be broadcasting this live. Our newspaper has done something so that everybody can decorate their window. We have signs for yards. I think we covered pretty much almost everything we could within a week's time.
That's wonderful, Betty. How many people do you think are going to make it for the actual motorcade?
Oh, Lord. This is a tough question because we have a challenge going with the White House. The White House said 6,500. I said 18,000. My husband spoke to me after that, and I think if we can have 12, we're going to surprise a lot of people.
Really?
But I think we can beat the number that they're going to have in Port Washington and Hartford.
I do too, Betty. This is a neat town, and I want to thank you for your time and all your hard work, and I'll bet you need a vacation after this.
I think probably we're going to wonder what to do for our next trick. We thank you for covering this. That's very good for us,
Well,
too.
you're very welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your time, Betty. With me right now is the mayor of West Bend, Mike Miller, and the city administrator. Your name again, please?
Dennis Melvin.
Thank you, Dennis. Are you excited about the president coming to town, rather?
Yes, we're very excited about the president coming to West Bend. It's not always that you get the chief person in the country coming to your city, and we're very excited.
You better believe it. How many people are you planning on coming for this?
We're hoping to get at least 12,000 people. We hope for more, but that's what we're counting on, about 12,000.
Okay, now this isn't just your everyday visit. What types of things have you done to prepare for this, Mike?
I'll let Dennis hit some of the highlights. His departments have been doing a lot of work.
Okay, sounds good. Dennis?
We've had a variety of things going on. Public Works Department, for example, has had to, or not had to, but just in preparation for the entire event, has constructed some new barricades to help out with the security aspects of the trip. We've got some bunting that's supposed to be arriving today to help decorate some of the buildings within the downtown. We've had banners made for all the major entrances to the city. And yard signs that have been ordered, we've got them available at various locations, City Library, the Parks and Rec building, for example. Those are free, so we're allowing those to go out to as many people as possible. I think we've ordered 2,000. Some other things that we've had to do are no parking signs for various parts of the motorcade route, and also parking signs where we have to get people to go because of the volume of people that we are expecting. It's not usual to get that much within a downtown area, so just a lot of different things that have been going on.
Okay, it sounds exciting. So you gentlemen have been working on this project then for several days.
Yes, we started early Monday. Well, we started Sunday night, really. We had a meeting with our Economic Development Director, or Community Development Director, John Capel, and just to highlight if the visit comes to pass what we would do, and we've been going since then.
Okay, how have the Secret Service been treating you?
They've been treating us fairly good. Yeah, very good.
Because this is a really, really big thing, and I think it's wonderful for West Bend. I think you're going to find a lot more tourist traffic coming in after this. Have you noticed a difference already?
I think, yeah, we've been getting a lot more cars, I think, in the city. We certainly been getting a lot more news media than we've had in the city for a long, long time, which
But that's
is really
all right.
good. Yes.
Okay.
We have got ourselves a parade
All right.
here, ladies and gentlemen.
So let's swing those cameras around and let's take a look and see who's leading the way. Of course, we see the American flags, and the whole crowd is standing now.
Sure are.
Oh, get it! You need that? Okay, the parade has begun.
I believe that's a group from and representing the West Bend VFW, a very active community service organization. Our veterans in town, always mindful of the service they and of course hundreds of others have given our country over the years.
Now, according to my watch, Mark and Dean, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the president is concluding his remarks now in Hartford and preparing to make his way to West Bend.
One of the more spectacular sights that everyone's going to be able to enjoy as the president arrives will be a release of thousands and thousands of helium balloons.
We don't want to miss that balloon launch.
I was standing next to the boxes this morning watching the staff of the West Bend Marine Bank, and I know there's been many other companies involved in that as well, getting the boxes positioned properly so that the Secret Service's bomb squad
Can go
could
through, right?
get their German
We
Shepherds
saw
out
the
and
dogs.
sniff their way through it. Right?
Exactly. We saw the dogs.
That was taking place downtown here around 8:30 this morning. Just one of the few things, I'm sure. The preparations
You bet.
for security have been incredible.
And I saw a few stray balloons making their way out, so I don't know
Every
if they're
so often
escapees
there's a
from the
loner.
box
Yes.
or...
Every so often there's a loner that makes it up. Here's an interesting community group coming up the street at this point in time. The River City Irregulars are a local marching band who've been performing for a number of years here in our community. Comes the Girl Scouts.
The Girl Scouts and the Boy
And
Scouts.
the Boy Scouts.
And I'll bet the Cub Scouts as well.
And the Cub Scouts as well. You got it right. There's a lot of moms and dads
Oh, what a proud day for them.
pressing up uniforms for those kids this morning.
It's a real proud day for the Scouts, I'm sure. Let's just mention once again that we're coming to you live on Riverbend Cablevision, Channel 33. And we will be replaying this afternoon. And after this, check your local listings for more dates and times.
Oh yes, we'll have
Don't
it
miss
on
anything
several times.
Our community well represented and the spirit presence here. A welcome float for the president.
The presidential seal, or the eagle rather.
Oh yeah. Very
Red,
well
white,
done.
and blue, of course. Red, white, and blue.
Out of all the short notice, can you
I think
believe
we'll
they
all
put
be
something
seeing
like that
stars
together?
and stripes for a week or two
I
to
think
come
you're
yet.
right. You know, Dean, I understand that until last Monday, all this was just gossip in the wind.
It was Tuesday's paper that it was a maybe. And on Wednesday, it was just like everybody scrambled.
Suddenly announced, and boy, they did a wonderful job getting this together. A real tribute to the whole town of West Bend.
Next, Mr. Miller, the mayor of West Bend, Mike Miller and his wife.
Lovely wife.
Obviously, one of us who gets to participate and actually check out
yes.
how good the chicken is at the Washington House this noon.
Well, I guess we can't blame him, can we? He is the mayor,
Of course.
after all.
He represents us.
That's true. That's wonderful. And of course, they're dressed in the red, white, and blue also. Super. All right, and behind him?
Mr. Roger from
Rotary
Roger
president.
Stevenson, I believe it is, the president of the West Bend Rotary. Roger's had one of the hardest jobs, and that's trying to get everyone who's supposed to be inside for the meal without hurting feelings.
Where do you draw the line, right?
Roger's working very, very hard.
And there, of
Well
course,
deserving of the applause.
There's
he's getting.
Betty.
is Betty from the chamber.
Betty Pearson, the executive vice president, get
of the
this straight,
Chamber
of the
of
West Bend Area
Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. That's the hub of the wheel for the
Dressed
last few
very
days.
nicely for today.
Here comes our state representative, Mary
State
Panzer.
Senator Carol Bittner was right in front of her, and then Mary Panzer. We seem to be going a little faster now.
Yeah.
And if we can perhaps give our home audience a picture of the side of the car, you'll see the names in case we miss anybody.
Mr. Stitt and Mr. Merck from our
State representative.
State House, our state senator and representative from the area.
And they're all wearing the red carnation boutonniere.
All in their beautiful convertibles.
Yes, they are. And red, too. I
Right
might
behind
add.
them, the chairman of the Washington County Board of Supervisors, Mr. Reuben Schmall.
They're gonna put everybody who's behind them.
Notice how the cars go in the same theme.
Oh, yes.
You know, red, white,
And blue.
blue.
And quite an honor for them, too.
Oh, I think everybody, no matter what level you're
There's
at, everybody's
Mr. Small
excited.
from the county board.
And although politics is their life, it's not every day they get to spend some time with the President of the United States.
There's another shot of the county chairman.
We're so pleased that Mark could be with us today because,
That's
boy,
Alderman Jack
I've
Schneiber
been
from
murdering
the
these names.
7th District, if memory serves here. The alderman of the city, of course. An important part of this effort. There's a better shot of Jack Schneiber. He's chairman of the Finance Committee, so I'm sure he'll have to deal with some of these expenses.
something to do with this.
Two more aldermen, Mr. Tony Spaeth and Mrs. June Shuppel. Both, of course, members of the West Bend. I'll get it right. Common Council.
Common Council, okay.
I should know. I broadcast all their meetings for about 4 years here on the cable system a while back.
Then you know them well. Alderman Joe Gates.
Joe Gates,
is that right?
correct.
Yes.
He's chairman of the Cable TV Commission.
All right.
So we have many dealings,
have
yes.
to meet with and we're working together, of course, to try and make the cable system here into our community the finest in the area, like many things in our community are.
And people cheering on their local politicians.
Hope Cross and Alderman Al Tennis. There goes Joe Gates again. And that's Alderman Wayne Gudex, also here from our community's Common Council. Things have quieted a bit. The White House pulled the plug on their sound system. We can all hear ourselves think.
That's right, great
It's
change.
sort of nice, yes. A little calm before the storm, maybe.
I think so, you may be right.
There you go. That's Alderman Hope Cross.
Is that it for this motorcade? See if we can look down the parade route a little bit and get some information to you folks as we see it.
West Bend Community Cable, the local studio, is out and about with portable production
more,
equipment.
yes.
I'm sure at least 3, if not possibly 4, separate sets of production gear roaming the crowds. One of them's got a bird's eye view from an upper floor window in the West Bend Travels
They did let her
building.
in there, huh? I was
That's
wondering
what I
about
heard.
that
Last
with the
I
Secret
heard.
Service. You never
Took a bit of work to
know.
get
I'm
that
sure
all
it
approved,
did.
and I imagine she's not alone up there.
I'm sure she's not.
I gotta stand by.
But we do have a window view with WBCC.
It takes a lot of people to make something like this work, but real exciting, and we're real pleased to be here. Here we just saw a shot of Fritz Sankover with the rest of the press. So
All the national and
pretty
international
exciting.
people there.
Exactly right. And you know, I have to tell people, of course, why we're not going to be allowed in the Washington House. And believe it or not, they flipped a coin. And Channel 12 won the coin toss, because obviously you can't let every camera person and every studio or network or cable company in there. There would be just too much. So Channel 12 did win the coin toss, and we're all going to try to get a feed from Channel 12. So
Right, we'll be sharing their video expertise
You bet.
on our channel, as will Channel 6 and 4
Channel
from
4.
Milwaukee,
Yeah.
and Cablevision here, all sharing the resources of Channel 12. They're bouncing this via satellite back to their broadcast facility in Milwaukee. I don't know how much of it's actually on air. I'm sure they're doing the same from Hartford and Fordham as well.
And now we have...
We have some commotion at our backside here. In fact, it's a helicopter.
Okay, so much for the motorcade story. I think we hear a helicopter, but whether or not that's...
It's certainly in camera
A
shot.
lot of helicopters.
Helicopters,
The
all right?
overflight of 4 Marine helicopters.
Oh, my heart.
As the kids
Certainly
would
got
say,
everyone
that's
on their
totally
feet.
awesome.
We've got everyone on their feet.
Okay, sweep
Their
over.
purpose was not so much to impress us, I don't think, but as to double check the rooftops
Right, that's correct.
in anticipation of the
Security
president's
check.
arrival.
That's correct.
Well, I've heard that too. When he does come down in the motorcade procession, there will be helicopters in the air at all times.
Checking things out.
Yes,
you
they
bet.
will.
You bet. They don't want to leave anything unchecked. There's the helicopter.
There's a
We have
shot.
a shot of that right now. I know they were even doing some tree trimming in Port Washington.
A funny protrusion on the front only indicates that it is armed.
I understand in
Correct.
Port Washington, they even set a special police boats to monitor the water.
Oh, yes.
And so people at that avenue can't come.
Oh yes, because you can be assured that anyone that owns a boat in that marina is out
They know what's in that
hovering
boat.
next to the Lakeview Park so they can get a glimpse of the president as well. And we do see the balloons down there, the beautiful red, white, and blue balloons. It looks like they're getting ready for a launch.
A lot of police cars right about now. Just
State
going-
Patrol and a variety of officials,
Patrol.
probably Secret Service and back, about to take their stations here. Of course, the advance team that's been present throughout this is only a small part of the official group that follows the president about and sees to his security.
That's correct. And of course, those folks were working out in Milwaukee. And there we have a balloon
There
launch.
goes a bunch of balloons
There
up
we have a
from
balloon
central
launch.
downtown.
All right.
Excellent shot by our camera guy to catch that. He beat us to it.
Well, we don't exactly have the best spot here to see, Mark, and we're not that tall. So we're doing the best we can here.
A lot more official vehicles starting to crowd their way through downtown West Bend right now.
Second batch of balloons are going.
All right.
There we
There
go,
we go.
ladies and gentlemen. We've had a release of balloons from in front of the Centrum building in the heart of downtown,
Okay.
right across from the West Bend Theater.
All right. The president
Obviously nothing less than red, white, and blue. Nothing
the
more,
president
nothing
is
less.
approaching. And there we have the balloons once again.
The band has struck up an appropriate pose. They are beginning their music now.
Okay, we see the Secret
We
Service
see
men,
the
of course,
black
running in
limousines.
front of it.
The first is a spare. The second limousine
Well,
is
the first one, I believe,
presidential
Governor
limousine.
Thompson may be in the first limousine. Let's see. All right, as everyone's waving. And now I understand President Reagan is in the
Mr.
second
Reagan is
limousine
seated
on the right. He's
speaking
on the
to
right.
crowd. There goes the president.
And he has a microphone.
Governor Thompson sharing the back seat with the president.
All right. They're following the limousine right now.
And there go the
And
red,
the other
white, and
balloon
blue
launch.
balloons
There
in
we
front
go.
of Washington House.
All right, how exciting. And there go the balloons. President Reagan was sitting in the second limousine, as we had mentioned before, and he was seated on the right side.
Jerry, did you take a picture?
Being followed up, of course, by more dignitaries, I believe, although their cars aren't marked. Possibly more Secret Service men. And, of course, a camera crew following them up from the rear.
I'm sure it's only a matter of a minute or two to get the president out of his vehicle and
That's
into the
correct.
Washington House for the program. We will hear that here. We will see that here on the channel when we cut over to Channel 12's coverage of it.
There are a lot of camera crews coming by now.
The official Washington Press Corps, I believe, is who
I
we're
believe it
seeing in
is,
so
yes.
many of the
Correct.
vehicles behind us.
One, that-
They number in excess of 120 people who work with. There goes Cable News Network in a station
CNN.
wagon, a portable mini cam. We have
CNN, of
all
course,
of the
international news.
television networks represented. Numerous people vehicles here. The Milwaukee Sheraton van hauling dignitaries around with the president.
And, of course, our cameramen just doing the very best they can to bring this to you live.
We have the West Bend Fire Department ambulance in tow along with the troop. A couple of Greyhound buses full of press corps people on their way through.
All that's going into Washington House.
Many of them have never been to West Bend
Yeah.
and are certainly, I think, impressed with the welcome we've put forward for them as well.
Okay, let's keep our eye on the TV, on the monitor, and we'll see what kind of coverage our cameramen can provide us with now.
Fast, all this is taken apart.
Quite a patriotic family here. Are these all yours, number one?
No, this is mine, and those two are the neighbors.
Well, that's wonderful that you could bring them all down today. And your name is?
Pam Wood.
Okay, Pam, tell me a little bit about how you feel today and how you prepared for this day.
Well, we spent about an hour and a half shopping last night. We got up at what? 7:30, 7 o'clock. We were down here at a little bit after 8. Yep. got a spot all staked out, brought plenty of food and munchies so the kids wouldn't get bored, and just thought it was good for the kids to be able to see the president, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
You bet, and I see everyone has on their Ronald Reagan t-shirts. Y'all gonna wear those to school when school starts?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name, honey?
Ryan.
Heather Kane.
Heather, and your name?
Adam.
And your name?
Joshua.
And your name?
Rob.
And your name?
Ryan.
Why don't you all face the camera now, and maybe you could wave, because you can see yourselves later on television. This is quite an honor. What do you think it's going to mean for your family years down the road?
Well, we thought it...
On our television?
We'll see it on ours, yes. We thought it was nice for the kids to be able to come and just show their respect to the president. We felt that they probably would not be able to see him very well in the car, but I think they really enjoyed it, got a lot out of it. They were really excited to be able to, like I say, see the president once that they'll probably never do again.
That's exactly right. Well, thanks for your time and enjoy the rest
you.
of the day. Hey, Amy Harder and
Pam Harder.
Pam Harder, sisters,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and where are you from?
West Bend.
West Bend. You've got a neat town here. How do you feel today? Are you proud of it?
We're pretty proud. Just came back from Myrtle Beach and we heard someone say that President Reagan's coming down, and sure enough, we came back yesterday and here he was.
That's wonderful. What time did you get up this morning to stake out your spot?
8.
8 o'clock. Okay. Was it difficult for you to get a glimpse of the president?
Yeah, but we just saw him waving. He looked like a wax dummy just sitting there waving.
Okay, you saw his profile. You knew it was Ronald Reagan.
You knew it was. You could tell by his smile and his wave.
What do you think about West Bend? Does this surprise you that this many people came out to see the president?
Yes, it did, because usually they don't get this big of turnout for things like this.
Not even for the president?
Well, yeah, they don't. Well, not every day that the president comes here.
That's right. And you did a nice job of decorating up the city. Everyone has really come out to welcome the president. It's pretty neat to be part of it, don't you think?
Yeah, we're really proud, and I was really surprised at how beautiful the town looks, and with everyone cooperating, I can't see why we can't keep it like this.
All right. You think that you'll ever get a chance to see a president again?
No.
So it's a good thing you came today, right?
Yep.
Okay. What are you going to do for the rest of the day?
Probably just walk around and check everything out.
Okay. Did you buy a Ronald Reagan t-shirt yet?
No, we're planning on, but we have to.
You
We got
got
pins.
Okay. Thanks for your time.
Sure. Bye-bye.
And furthermore, the budget bill, the Budget Act that was passed 10 years ago requires the President of the United States to spend every dime that the Congress has appropriated, no more and no less. So whether the economic progress that we've made in the last 6.5 years will be America's to enjoy for the next 50 or 100 years depends upon whether the Congress passes President Reagan's Economic Bill of Rights. I know that you are as proud as I am that President Reagan has decided to come to West Bend to talk about that Bill of Rights and why it has to be passed for our children and grandchildren's economic security. So it was with a great deal of pride that I present to you today the President of the United States.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. Governor Thompson, Senator Caston, Congressman Sensenbrenner, Mayor Miller. Today feels like a homecoming to me. Traveling through the towns and the farmland here in Wisconsin reminds me of the town where I grew up, just across the border down in Illinois. It reminds me of when I was a young man graduating from college. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and the Depression was on, but I was lucky enough to find opportunities more than I ever dreamed of. And one of the things I'm most dedicated to doing as president is to ensure that for every young man and woman getting out of high school or college, starting a family, finding a job, America remains what it has always been, a land of unlimited opportunity. Incidentally, you know, when I get to talking about opportunity, that reminds me of a story. But I'm a collector of stories that I can verify the Soviet people are telling among themselves. And it gives me an idea of how they regard their situation. And many of those stories have to do with the state of their economy and their dismay at the fruits of communism. Like, what are the 4 things wrong with Soviet agriculture? spring, summer, winter, and fall. But the story I'm thinking of concerns a star Soviet athlete, a hammer thrower. He'd gone to the West and seen what it was like and then returned home. And in the first meet after he got back, he set a new world record. A journalist from a Soviet newspaper rushed up to him and asked, "Comrade, how did you manage to throw your hammer that far?" And he replied, "Give me a sickle and I'll throw it even farther." Earlier today in Hartford and here in West Bend and later I'm sure in Port Washington, I'm seeing what has made America a land of opportunity. It was in the faces of the workers I met a couple of hours ago at the Braun plant. It was in the faces of the people who lined the streets here in town as we drove through. It's here among you who give so much in service to your community, and I congratulate you on this effort that your president just spoke of. It's the pride and strength of a great and proud and free people. Plain and simple, it's the American spirit. 7 years ago, when I ran for this office, inflation was running wild, as you've been told, and interest rates too. The economy was slowing to a crawl, paychecks were shrinking fast, and our leaders told us the roots of the problem, we Americans, and something they called malaise. You remember that? Well, I didn't buy that, and neither did the American people. The problem was never the people. It was too much federal regulation. Taxes that were too high, too much federal spending, in short, too much big government and not enough freedom from it. That, and not our spirit, was the source of our troubles. Changing that is why today inflation has slowed way down, and it's why families can buy more with their paychecks, and it's why in communities like West Bend or like the city I was in 2 weeks ago, New Britain, Connecticut, and all around America, job opportunities are growing. Unemployment has fallen to the lowest unemployment, that has been in this decade. We've created more jobs in the last 4 years than Europe and Japan combined. And there have been more people at work this year than ever before in the history of the United States. Now you could say, well, that's because the population totally keeps growing up. But wait a minute. I didn't know until a short time ago that the potential employment pool in the United States was considered to be everybody, male and female, from 16 years up all the way. The highest percentage of that potential pool is employed today than has ever been employed in the history of the United States. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here in the Midwest today because all that we've accomplished together, all we've done to lower tax rates and lift the suffocating blanket of excessive government off of the American dream, and you know the outstanding contributions of Senator Caston and Congressman Sensenbrenner in doing what we've done, and you know what your governor has set out as a program to do. Well, all of this is under attack in Washington. I'm here to ask your help and the help of people all over the Midwest. I'm here because in years to come, I would like it to be said that one of the legacies of my administration was opportunity for young Americans, not just this year or next year, but into the next decade and into the next century. If we're to do that, we've got to get control of the federal budget. Now, you've heard leaders of Congress say that spending has been cut to the bone, that the only way to lower the deficit now is to raise taxes. They insist that everything in the budget now is essential. Well, let me tell you about some of the spending that they say is so essential. In one major city, there's a mass transit system that the federal government is now paying to extend. So few people ride that system or are likely to ride it after the extension is finished that it would be cheaper for us to buy every rider a new car every 5 years for the next 50 years. I'd say it's the taxpayers who are really being taken for a ride on that one. Another example, for national security reasons, the government subsidizes through loan guarantees the cost of building ships for our merchant marine. But over the years, the meaning of the word ship has been stretched. And the meaning of that is, last year, the government poured out over $400 million in order to make good on defaulted offshore oil rigs constructed with federal guarantees. This is what they call essential spending. Now, I don't need to tell you good people about what's happening with farm spending. Farm aid is meant to help the family farmer. But the way it is now, the government gives little or nothing to most family farmers. The bulk of the money goes to the big rich ones. Last year, for example, one cotton farmer got $12 million. 10 rice farms got more than $1 million each. All this is well known. So you'd think everyone would be making certain that whatever money goes to farmers in the future really does go to family farmers. But that's not the way we do things in Washington. Just last week, the Senate passed a trade bill. In it was another agricultural subsidy for the rich. $365 million to big sugar interests. And 2/3 of that would go to 2 big corporations, each of which made millions last year. Yes, essential spending. Now, anyone who tells you that we can't reduce the deficit without cutting defense and raising taxes is not telling you the truth. Last year, we got the special interest out of the tax code. Now it's time to get them out of the budget. And that's just what I mean to do. You know, this thing, defense, would it interest you to know that starting in 1981 and through about 1985, the Congress cut $125 billion out of defense spending. But in that same period, it added $250 billion to the budgets that I had submitted. In a little while in Port Washington, I'll be talking about the economic freedoms that underpin our free enterprise system and about an economic Bill of Rights, as the Congressman told you, to guarantee them. The Economic Bill of Rights includes something 85% of Americans want, a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. It also gives the President something that 43 governors, including your own, have, a line item veto. You know, to me, a line item veto is just a way of applying to the federal budget the simple common sense a family uses in the grocery store. When you buy apples in a store, you don't buy a big bag on sight unseen. You look at each apple. Right now, spending programs are sent to me by the barrel full. My choice is to take it or leave the barrel. A line item veto would just mean that I could go through the barrel, pull out each bad apple, and ask the American people if they really want to buy that apple. If they do, Congress can override my veto. My guess is that once the special interest spending is pulled out of the barrel, the American people will send it right into the trash. The pundits in Washington say the Economic Bill of Rights doesn't stand a chance. They say it's dead on arrival. We can't beat them. But I got news for them. The special interests don't run our country. The American people do. Looking at the way Washington spends money, you would think that you were watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous on TV. The special interests want to raise the American people's taxes to pay for their high times and holidays. Well, as long as I'm president, those holidays are over. And any tax increase that reaches my desk will be headed on a different kind of vacation. A one-way cruise to nowhere on the SS Veto. I've come to the Midwest today to ask you to join me in the battle against the special interests. I mentioned the trade bill earlier. This is one place where the special interests have had a field day. As it stands now, the trade bill is not just expensive, but dangerous. It would put into law the most protectionist provisions since the Smoot-Hawley Act that started or at least deepened the Great Depression of the 1930s. It invites foreign retaliation in a trade war that would threaten every one of the up to 10 million American jobs, hundreds here in West Bend, that are tied to trade. Not only that, but the trade bill includes measures like government-imposed restrictions on plant closings that would make American companies less competitive in the world markets. As it stands now, the trade bill is a declaration of war on American jobs. If it gets to my desk without big changes, I'm going to do my duty as an elected official who represents one special interest, all of the American people. I'll have no choice but to veto it. It's time for the folks back in Washington to fold away the circus tents, pack up the grandstands, and get down to the business of cutting federal spending. I'm ready to work with Congress to do that, but I'm going to need your help. 200 years ago, our founding fathers gave us a government of, by, and for the people. They believed that the Constitution they drafted would be a new order for the ages, and they were right. The dream of America has been a shining beacon for all mankind ever since then. It's the light of freedom and the torch of democracy, and it's drawn millions to our shores from all over the world. We, the American people, hold that torch in our hands. We, and not any monarch or despot of special interest, will hand that torch to the next generation. We will determine whether the opportunities that we've known will be for our children as well. And let's work together to make certain they will. Now, I've come to the end of my remarks because I'm due, as you know, in another place to make another speech on pretty much the same subject, but I can't leave without telling you how fortunate you are that I'm going to have to cut it short. You know, there's a story of ancient Rome and the Christians there in the Colosseum, and they turned the lions loose on them, and the lions came roaring and charging, and one man stepped out from the little huddled group and spoke some quiet words, and the lions all laid down. Well, the crowd was furious. They couldn't understand what had happened, and Nero sent for this one man and said, "What did you say to them that made them act like that?" He says, "I just told them that after they ate, there'd be speeches." Thank you all. God bless you.
Mr. President, thanks a lot for taking time out of your busy schedule to visit West Bend. On behalf of all the citizens of West Bend, I'm honored to give you a key to our city, and you're welcome to use it any time. In addition, I have a proclamation declaring July 27th, 1987 as President Ronald Reagan Day here in the city of West Bend.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quite the speech.
Well, there you have it. That was President Ronald Reagan, of course, addressing the Rotary Club here in West Bend, Wisconsin. You saw Mayor Mike Miller giving the key to the city and, of course, declaring July 27th as Ronald Reagan Day here in West Bend. It's been quite an exciting day. Mark, any comments as we close here today?
Wow. Picking up the pieces around the community from the president's visit. The afternoon heated up, as did the excitement here in our community. Just a tremendous example of community spirit brought forward here this afternoon. Makes you a little bit proud to be part of this city. I know I am after seeing the show, the welcome that we put forward for a president this afternoon.
And I'm sure that he found a similar reception for him in Hartford and now also in Port Washington, as he'll be leaving the Washington House and moving on to Port Washington. And hopefully we'll have that for you too real soon. Dean, comments from you?
I think he's left his impressions here with the people on the outside as well as the inside here. And I only think that as more people actually get to see it rather than even hear it, that they'll have a chance to really feel that impact as far as his ability to communicate in what he does best. You know, and that's where you really feel it, I think.
I think it was really exciting that the city did have this loudspeaker set up here so that people could enjoy their lunch and actually hear the president's speech. And for those of you that were at home, got to see it live, and we will be replaying it this afternoon, hopefully at 3 and at 5, and check your local listings for more times. But it's been just a super exciting day, and I think West Bend has an awful lot to be proud of. It's not every day the president comes to visit, and I really want to thank Dean from Riverbend Cablevision and Mark Landvatter, local businessman, for doing the color for me today, really helping us out. He knows everybody in West Bend. And I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and we hope to see you again next time the president comes to visit.
Real soon.
Real soon.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.